Kanhaiya, I couldn't hear you. Do you want us to begin now?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, sir. We can begin. We can start the talks.
Perfect. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Samyukta.
Good afternoon. It's nice to be here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rajesh Kumar Singh from ICOFP, International College of Financial Planning. I am the director and CEO for this institution. Before I begin I introduce the speaker today and I hand over the talk. So just a brief about what the talk is going to be, who we are, what we're going to do, a brief about that. So kind of I'm trying to set the context for the this talk today. So first of all, the institution that I represent, ICOFP, International College of Financial Planning, we are a part of Bajaj Capital Group. Established in year 2002, we have been spearheading financial planning education in the country. So as a matter of fact, the Certified Financial Planner, the CFP certification, was brought to India by us. We are India's first and the largest CFP education providers. And we have been offering not only CFP, but multiple super specialized program in finance like CFA, MBA financial planning, MBA financial analysis, diploma in wealth management, and all this stuff. We are among top finance colleges, super specialized finance colleges. So when I say super specialized, we teach nothing but just finance. So that's where our speciality lies in. And our parent company, Bajaj Capital, has been into wealth management space for 59 years. So that's the legacy that we bring across. So that's a brief about the institution that I represent. Today, the speaker today is from a very young and dynamic background. You have seen in the invites which went to you for this webinar. You have seen the template, which was the kind of banner which was put here on display for you to welcome. So a couple of things which probably are not highlighted there, but many a times you kind of go through that phase. I like to talk about Samyukta. So Samyukta comes from science background initially. She is from hardcore science and maths background, and then she kind of opted to get into the financial world, and she did her CFP, Certified Financial Planner course. Samyukta today is not just a kind of, I should say, not just a financial planner. She is somebody who kind of brings in a very new age thinking to the financial planning, the way she does the financial planning she manages. One thing that she continuously has kind of always followed on is her desire to learn, her desire to do new things. And that's what brings her to do Young India Fellowship with Ashoka University as well. So that's what the background Samyukta has. She is an ex-Goldman Sachs. So I don't think I need to kind of probably say anything when I say that she's an ex-Goldman Sachs and she is a certified financial planner. So that's a brief about Samyukta. Of course, when she speaks, she will talk more about her experiences, her background, etc. The format of the talk today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be in two parts. The first part is where Samyukta comes and speaks about the topic, which is design thinking for finance professionals. So design thinking, if I have to just give you on one-liner definition, it's a iterative, a new way of problem solving. It's a problem solving approach. More, of course, Samyukta is going to talk. So that's what she is going to do. Once her talk is over, I would come back again, and then I would talk a bit about CFP certification, curriculum, exam, and all that stuff. Any information that you want to know about CFP, that's what I come back and I'm going to do. One ground rule, gentlemen, we have kept all of you deliberately on mute. Not that you should not ask a question. If you have a question, you can write in the chat. We have kept you on mute so that when we speak, it reaches to you with absolute clarity. So that's the format. And once again, thank you so much, Samyukta, for taking out time being here. I'm sure we are going to have a very exciting session with you. Thank you so much, and over to you.
Thank you, Rajesh. That was a very nice introduction. And I'm also really happy to be here today to do this presentation. So as already mentioned, the talk is going to be about design thinking in like looking at financial planning through a design thinking lens. And so I hope you guys find it interesting. If you have any questions, or if you feel that you want to sort of pause somewhere and like go deeper into something, please let me know. I will be sharing screen, so if I'm not able to see your chat, do bring it up like towards the end as well. Okay. Is my screen visible?
It's loading. Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. So my presentation is about aligning financial planning and design thinking. And so does anyone have any idea about what design thinking is, or what financial planning is? Because I think at least that most of us would be familiar to a certain extent if we're here on the call today. Like just a couple of words or anything that you want to type into the chat. We'll try to keep this interactive as well. I see something that's come up. Okay, correct. Like planning money. Yeah, that's essentially like the baseline, right? Like you want to look at, but all aspects of money. So you want to look at how to protect yourself from risk. You also want to look at how to grow that money, how you have financial goals, and that you're basically going to sort of align your investments to that. All right. So lots of interesting responses. Anything about design thinking? Okay. All right. So design thinking is basically about looking at the design of products and services. So there are two important elements of what design thinking actually is. So first of all, design is not just something that you see, right? When there's a good product or a service, you feel good about it. And that is what is more important. And if you're a design thinker, what you're going to try to optimize is not how the product looks, but how people feel when they use a particular product or a service. And how do you make something better for people? It's the only way to do it is sort of to put people at the center, instead of trying to say that, okay, this is a phone, and like, I'm trying to design the best possible phone, and like, I'll make the phone sleeker, lighter, but maybe like, on the interface, I'm not at all paying attention to what's easy for people to use, and maybe the commands are really like confusing, so people don't have a great experience at the end. So if you want people to enjoy the experience, if you want people to come back to a particular service, then a lot of it matters on how that service is designed, and how much attention you're paying to what people want, right? UI and UX are part of, I guess, not necessarily design thinking, but it's more about like your user interface. So it's like an app, you want to look at how, or like a website where you're looking at how a particular system is designed. So that's more design than design thinking. Anyway, so moving on. So why should financial planners actually be design thinkers, right? When you're thinking about design thinking, like where can you apply it? Ideally, you're looking at an unstructured problem, and that's an unstructured problem is one where there are no like rules to find solutions, right? There could be multiple solutions which work. So typically, if you think of any sort of public policy like problem, that would be an unstructured problem, because there's no hard and fast rule that if I apply a particular framework, then I'm going to end up with the right solution. And a lot of financial planning is unstructured, right? Because each person's financial plan is going to be unique, their constraints are unique, their needs are different. The second place where you apply design thinking as a framework is when there are multiple stakeholders. So if you're doing a financial plan, who do you think the stakeholders are? Definitely your client. Can you think of any other stakeholders? Okay, so yeah, exactly. Family members of the clients, the service providers, chartered accountants. Yeah, this is a really good list, right? There's a lot of yeah. So I think you guys have got like a broad idea of like who the multiple stakeholders are, right? So first you have your client, you have the person who is paying you, that's the consumer, and then you have the users of the financial plan, which are going to extend to the client's families, whether that's in terms of like spouse and children, parents, whoever. And then of course you have like the other service providers, so you're not going to be working alone. Most probably your client is going to have like at least a chartered accountant, maybe there's an investment advisor, maybe there's someone else who's helping them with their investments, and there could be like an insurance provider. So there are multiple stakeholders in this process, right? And wherever you can be innovative and wherever you have to use data is another key element of design thinking. So essentially, if I have quantitative as well as qualitative information and I want to find insights from these data sets that I have, and then I come up with a solution, that's exactly where I could use design thinking, and that's how I could optimize a problem. Now, when we look at this in the context of financial planning, we know that you have unstructured problems, we know that you have multiple stakeholders, and we know that there's going to be data. And essentially what you're doing as a financial planner is that you are innovating and you are coming up with a solution which will suit your client. And how do you do that? So since most of you are considering the CFP program, this is one of the key things that you will learn, that there is an entire process to financial planning, and this is sort of integral to building that client relationship, to making sure that the financial plan is actually sound and can be used and is of a really good quality. So how do you do that? You begin by establishing the relationship with the client. Then you sort of collect and analyze data. These are step 2 and 3. And then you implement and you review. So you implement the financial plan that you make after you sort of analyze the data and come up with a plan. And then you review this plan over a period of time so that it's constantly aligned with what your client. When it comes to design thinking, we actually have the same process that you follow. So the first thing that you do is to sort of interview someone, right? Like you figure out who all your stakeholders are, and you have and you prepare a sort of questionnaire, and you say that, okay, I'm going to go out to this person and I'm going to talk to them about this, and try to get them to talk as much as possible about what they're facing, what they're expecting, and how you can help them arrive at the perfect solution. So once you talk to this person, you're obviously taking notes, and then you have to do something known as empathy mapping. And empathy mapping is essentially, what you do is you have these notes from your interview, and then you kind of create these 4 quadrants where you say, what has my client said to me? So these are direct quotes of what your client has said. What are they doing? So what kind of behaviors are they exhibiting when it comes to their personal finances? What do they think about money? What do they think about their financial plan? What are they thinking about their financial future? And what is it that they feel? So for each client, like, your empathy map is going to look really different, right? So somebody may be really scared about retirement. Maybe they're retiring in like 5-10 years. They're not sure whether they're on the right track. So they're wondering what kind of investments to make. So these are things that are going on in their mind, and as a financial planner you should be tuned into exactly what is happening. And by creating the empathy map, you are essentially making yourself more conscious of how the client feels, how the client thinks, what their expectations are, how they're behaving. And these are very, very important aspects of establishing and maintaining your relationship with your client in the entire financial planning process. Then you come to the data part, right? So once you've actually talked to your client, your next job is to define what their needs are. Sometimes, and this is where you have to pay a lot of attention, sometimes your clients will tell you that, okay, these things are my goals. I have 2 kids. They're right now in school. They're going to go to college, and I probably want to educate them abroad, and I'm also planning to retire. So these are all stated goals, right? But there may be unstated goals. For instance, maybe your client is very charitable and would ideally, even once they're retired, maybe they want to donate money every year, and that's not a stated goal. Or that they have parents who are ailing, who they are supporting now because they are working, and it doesn't seem like something that they need to plan for because there's a continuous income. So you need to also look at what is not said. You also need to understand what people are avoiding. So sometimes you might meet a person who's uncomfortable taking loans because their family has had a history of bad financial management through like a bank, or they might have felt that because of the loan they were put in a lot of pressure, and then they've become averse to taking loans. So being aware of what is not said, what is not done, is equally important to actually listening. So the key sort of skill that a financial planner needs is to be able to listen to someone carefully and to hear everything that they're saying, whether it's explicit or implicit. So once you've defined what the problem or the needs are, right? I would prefer to say needs because it's not actually a problem that people come to you for, right? You now know what you have to solve for, right? Like that these are the things that you absolutely cannot sort of compromise on, and you have a sort of priority list. So this is the time where you have to ideate and you have to prototype. So we need to really think of the financial plan as a prototype, because when you create it, it's not something that you're doing for this month. Ideally, the plan that you create is going to be in effect for at least a decade, right? Because most people who even want to start retirement planning will not come at a time that's even closer to that, or when they do, like, you have to extend the timeline, and there will be goals that spill into beyond retirement as well. So if you're looking at something for 10 years, you can't treat it as a finished product the first time that you make it. You are going to go through iterations and reiterations, and that is why you would treat your financial plan as a prototype. So once you prototype it, then you're going to sit down with your client and you're going to test it out, and you're going to see whether this is the implementation and the review part, right? So how feasible is it for them to implement whatever recommendations that you've made? And this is going to be like a gradual process. This doesn't happen overnight. Once you draft the plan also, it may take them a couple of months to go through it and understand it fully, and then begin the implementation part. And usually implementation goes like step by step. Everything doesn't happen at the same time, because you are making changes to that person's financial lifestyle. So and then of course your review is basically coming back to ideating, coming back to prototyping, and coming back to testing. So this aligns perfectly with the framework that we've already been given by FPSB in terms of how do you actually how do you actually uh, perform the act of financial planning in a systematic and process oriented way. And now if we apply the same design thinking framework, which is to keep people at the center, that is, you have your empathy map, and you're also following the principle of like clients coming first, and then you're defining the needs, which is essentially collecting and analyzing the data, setting financial goals, because that's what I think a lot of people had put in the chat when it came to what is financial planning, right? So this is exactly the part of the financial planning process where you're doing all of those things. And then comes your next stage. Any questions at this point? Okay. I see something in the chat. Okay. All right. Okay. Somebody has raised hand.
So at the end, Samyukta, I think we'll allow them to unmute one by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now we'll just go through these steps in details. So you start with establishing the client relationship. So here empathy is key. So if you're not going to be empathetic, if you're not going to be a good listener, no matter how you work at your financial plan, you're not going to have the best outcome for your client, right? So in design thinking, what you do is you have multiple interviews with different stakeholders to gain insights into what the customer or the user's needs are, right? So what does this mean? I have a set of questions. Let's say all of us have been through the pandemic. Let's say I want to use design thinking to solve this issue of how we can make home quarantine better, right? So then you'll talk to people who've been unwell, you'll talk to their family who's sort of been taking care of them, you'll talk to their neighbors, you'll talk to the watchman, you'll talk to the person who comes to deliver groceries, maybe you'll talk to like the Swiggy, Zomato person who's delivering food, and kind of see like what are the issues that these people are facing, what is it that could have gone better, how can we make this process more comfortable for the person who's in this situation, right? And of course, you obviously talk to doctors, that goes without saying. So these are your multiple stakeholders. When it comes to financial planning, what happens is most people only build a relationship with the client, right? The person who's coming to your office or who's emailed you saying that, you know, they want to go ahead with a financial plan. But usually when the plan is made, there are other stakeholders, right? The obvious stakeholders are your family, the client's family. So having that conversation with the spouse, if it's possible to talk to the children or get them also to be involved in sort of understanding the plan, and you know, making sure that all of them are involved in this process and that they understand what is going on, would be really helpful. So to understand what the family wants as a whole, what the family's priorities are, not just what one person is telling you, because that will open the conversation within the family as well for them to decide what it is that they want, how they want to prioritize, and so on and so forth. So the second key important thing is multiple interviews. So taking the time out and understanding that you know, it's not just one call that you'll do where you collect all of this information and then you're done. And even the information that you collect is not just going to be limited to quantitative stuff. Like you're not going to look at your pay slips and your tax returns and you know your NSDL statement. Like you have to look at things beyond the data as well. What is it that the family wants? Why have they come into financial planning? What are they worried about? So preparing your questionnaire in advance, which is again, I think recommended for CFP professionals, to have a questionnaire, to know what all you want to talk to your client about, to get them comfortable with that process, and then sort of getting into the details, the financial details. That is part of establishing the relationship, because this whole thing is built on trust. And if you want to build trust, you can't do it in one conversation, and you need to be at it, and you need to genuinely care, right? Like these are, it goes without saying that unless you want to help someone else with their finances, unless you want to sort of focus on their needs, and that will show automatically when you are committed to work, to the work. Right. So now I'm going to move on to the second part. So you first need to define the need. And this is what I had mentioned earlier, which is you need to go beyond, right? So there are things that are latent needs, which people won't directly talk about, which people are not comfortable saying out loud. And you also need to observe what it is that they don't do, right? So what are their financial habits? What is something that most people do but this person is not doing? So this again requires a lot of attention to detail. Again, you need to have information, and you will not have information unless you've really worked on step one and you've done your multiple interviews. You've got a solid questionnaire that you, again, over time, you sort of like uh, hone, right? Like you make it more precise, you make it more easy for people to respond to your questions, and you make it more conversational so that it doesn't feel like you're interrogating your client. Um, and the entire financial planning process is always iterative. And this is the same for design thinking. In design thinking, you talk about prototypes. So prototypes allow you to like create something, and then you go back to your customer and then you show it to them and you ask them whether this works, and then they try it out and they tell you whether it works or it doesn't work, or what they like or what they don't like, or what is better this time but what really needs to improve, right? So in planning, your iterations are not going to be in such quick succession, because once you create your financial plan for your client, then you probably, by that time, you've probably taken their consent and understood that these are the agreed upon priorities, right? So you're going to come back to it only like a few months or maybe a year later. And so in this process of actually listening to your client and going beyond their needs, you're going to have these aha moments, right? Where from the interviews, you realize that, oh, maybe this is what this person needs, or maybe this is what they'd be comfortable with. And those are your insights, your aha moments, where it's not something someone has told you, but it's something that you've spent your time and mental energy on to figure out what works best. So then you share these insights with your clients, and then you make sure that you are actually on the same page. That is, that if you feel that maybe for this person, insurance matters more than, say, starting their investments right away, then you would tell them that you don't have any like life insurance, and that is actually your number one priority. So why don't we get that out of the way before we start on the next item on your financial plan? So and then of course there's going to be back and forth, there's going to be dialogue, and then you would need to explain what is why you're prioritizing things in a particular way. And that's how you go through iterations, right? And then you get to analyzing the situation. So how do you know what is achievable? How do you know what needs to wait? How do you know what needs to be prioritized immediately? And this is essentially where there could be differences between what you feel is right for your client and what your client feels is right for them. And this is where a lot of the conversation again is going to go through, right? Because a lot of it is knowing that in your professional opinion that something might be better for them, getting them to see how you have placed them at the center of the financial plan, put them at the center of the process of financial planning, and making sure that for them everything is working out the way that it should, in the most obviously comfortable way possible. All right. So again, here I'm going to talk about why financial plans are prototypes. Because if you go back to the 5-step financial planning process, you will realize that there is implement, review, and then you come back to the first step. So this is a process that you're going to be repeating over time, because your clients' lives are going to change over a period of time, right? Like today, let's say your client is in their 30s, they're recently married, maybe a few years down the line, they have kids. And then after that, they're thinking about putting them through school. But at the same time, their career has progressed quite a bit. Then they are thinking about maybe moving into something more independent instead of staying in a salaried job. At that same time, their kids are also like getting older and they have to start planning for college. But also there's like retirement, maybe 15, 20 years down the line. Sorry. And as these milestones change, their aspirations are going to change, right? Like today, like the house that you would dream of buying may be very different from what you can afford or what you would want, say 10-15 years later. So understanding that attitudes as well as needs, as well as your aspirations are going to change with time as you cross different milestones at work and in life. So again, going back to a process oriented approach instead of a product oriented approach is going to help you. And when you start treating your plan as a prototype, then you're able to constantly sort of improve with every interaction with your client. Because once you create the plan, also there is a sort of constant engagement that you're going to have with the person who was at the center of everything that you've designed so far, right? Because it's not, the plan does not end the relationship. Otherwise, why would you spend so much time establishing that relationship and building a rapport with the client and getting them to sort of open up and tell you all of these things which are very sensitive? So that's essentially what your sort of how design thinking and financial planning intersect with each other, and how you can how you can use this framework of design thinking in being a financial planner and in sort of uh, perfecting this process of financial planning and aligning it with what we've already been given, which is a great framework. So I'm going to wrap up with a quote that I found out on the internet, and I think it makes a lot of sense in the context of both financial planning as well as design thinking, where it says that we spend a lot of time designing the bridge, but not enough time thinking about the people who are crossing it. So what this makes me feel is that when we're doing a financial plan, if we treat this as something that's easily replicable, that the plan that I create for one person I can make the same plan for someone else, then I'm not really thinking about who I'm designing it for. And also, I feel like when you take a more holistic approach in terms of accounting for all the stakeholders within like a financial planning scenario, then you also are thinking about the people who are crossing the bridge, right? It's not just your client, it's not just their family. There are people outside that as well with whom you need to coordinate and work with. So that's it. Thank you. And I know that there were a few raised hands as well as comments on the chat. So I will start looking at that.
Kanaya, if you can allow the raised hands to unmute themselves.
Sure.
Sorry.
I cannot see any raised hands, sir, at this moment.
Yeah, but Mr. Dhaval Sah had a question probably. If you can unmute him.
I think there was also an Ashwani.
Yes, Dhavalji, you can ask your question. You can unmute yourself.
So how can this type of training we get exactly for design thinking?
How do you get more information on design thinking?
Yeah, and a model portfolio. Yeah.
Okay, so design thinking is something that I learned at the course that I'm pursuing right now. You could, of course, like pick up books. You could look at YouTube channels. There's a really great company in the US called IDEO, that is IDEO, that uses design thinking in a lot of like product innovation. So there's a really interesting video on how they redesigned like a shopping cart, right? Like the trolley that you push in the supermarkets. And you would think that like, there's really not much to change there. But then when you see what they've worked with and how they've paid attention to the problems that different people have, you realize that there is a lot of scope in sort of solving this. And I think their CEO has also written a book. I forget what it's called. I can probably look it up and send that to you.
Kanaya, Sagar Kamrani.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question in general. So the question is, I don't find people who are willing to go to CFP for their financial planning. So if a person who wants to practice it on their own or opens office, so I don't see there's a scope for CFP. So how can we go for it?
I would actually think the opposite, because CFP kind of gives you a certain level of credibility that other forms of financial planning don't have, right? Because you're expected to A, continuously learn, and B, you do have like a certain level of like skill competence also that you have to clear through in terms of the exam. uh, and of course, like having a certification and sort of and this is not like an organization that's like very local or niche to like the city that you grew up in, or these are not standards that are unique to you, right? This is something that is applied across the world, and that's the same level of competence that you are bringing to the person that you're going to serve in terms of preparing a financial plan. So maybe the issue is more in sort of a like identifying who your target audience is, right? The people who are saying that they don't need a financial plan. There is a lot of hesitance, I think, in coming into financial planning because people don't immediately see the value addition that comes from that, because they think that, okay, like, why can't you just tell me how much to save? I'm not so interested in knowing all of these numbers, and it doesn't matter, I have some insurance. But when you actually do the work, you'll realize that the insurance that they have is not enough, or it's like the kind of products that really doesn't help the client, or that that they are buying insurance just to save tax, but the insurance is not what their family needs, right? So only when you get into the details can you see what kind of value addition that you can do. um, so I feel if your main challenge is that people are not accepting, then you need to change the people that you're talking to.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Samyukta, for taking out time being here. A couple of questions regarding CFP, I think, would get answered as we cover up the CFP content with the participants.
I think there's one more raised hand. Deepak?
Yeah, Deepak Nagar.
Yes, Deepakji, you can unmute yourself, Deepakji.
Yeah,
Please go
I
ahead.
have done. Yeah, I have done it. So, see, I have been doing the financial planning for the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm a chartered accountant by profession. Running my practice along with that, I'm doing planning. That was my interest area, and I left my job when I started this. So I'm saying here that design thinking, which you spoke about, is really interesting thing. On financial planning, I can understand all those things. I'm into it already, and I'm not a CFP also, but still I'm able to manage people really well. And the financial planning you spoke about, these all things I use for my clients, and how design thinking in a technical manner I can use. I mean, what else I can do so that it improve upon. I mean, say technology wise, I can do better in to convert more clients. And like you spoke about that, if there is a bridge, if we are not thinking about the people when making the bridge, then if we are spending more time on the bridge, then we are not doing the job. You spoke about some very, but how practically I can approach these things and improve upon those things. Because through CFP, what I feel that already have a things. I'm not sure whether it's the right thing for me or not because of client wise. I think I'm self sufficient, but on design thinking, I can think so many things about. And practically, you gave some ideas, but how it can be executed, this design thinking, on that I have more questions.
So it depends on what level you want to implement it, right? So essentially, like design, like the principle of design thinking is to put people at the center. So in whatever situation that you are, you need to figure out, like if you give me a specific example of what you're trying to optimize or what you're trying to improve, maybe I'll be able to give a better explanation. But ideally, you want to make sure that your client comes first, which is anyway again aligned with your CFP principles as well. Um, and I'm sure even for CAs there is that sort of requirement, right, where you prioritize the client and you eliminate your conflicts of interest. The second thing is that you need to look at processes, and you need to see, like, if people are not happy with a particular thing, what is it that you can do to improve that? Obviously you may have certain ideas, but again, go with an open mind, talk to more people, talk to as many people as you can, see if there's a repeating pattern. You said that you're self-sustained in terms of clients, so you can see if there are any repeating issues that are happening across your client base, right? Are they all facing the same kind of trouble? What can you do to make that better for them? Maybe if you're talking about like technological platforms, I think someone had mentioned UI UX. So even though that is not design thinking, it is design. You could maybe talk to somebody who is in that space and see, like, if you have like a tech platform on which you are onboarding clients, you can show it to that person, ask them to test it out, see if the process of onboarding is smooth. If it's not smooth, kind of identify what those bottlenecks are, how you can optimize them. Does that answer help?
Kanaya, there is a chart coming up. Can you look at that?
Yes, sir.
Apart from consulting all stakeholders, isn't this similar to goal-based financial planning?
Yeah, you do have to do goal-based financial planning. That's a very essential part of financial planning. But also not everyone talks to all the stakeholders, right? Most people are focusing only on one person, who is the person who's coming and seeking the financial plan. And that is where you can make a value-added difference. If you are not going to go the extra mile, if you're not going to pay attention to what is not being said, if you're not going to sort of prioritize things for your client, then yeah, you are doing what everybody else is doing, and it is the same thing. I think someone else has commented saying this is true. Most CFPs in the market only sell products and earn commissions like MFD or insurance agents. Unless one registers with SEBI as an RIA, only then CFP is useful. I think by the new regulatory guidelines, financial planning does fall under advice. So you would have to have or be affiliated with an RIA or do only fee-based financial planning. I don't think you have the option of commissions. Okay, how relevant is CFP while there's a lot of robo advisory? So again, like we talked about empathy, right? That is like central to design thinking. Now, how much empathy do you think a robot can generate? Right? Maybe a financial, I mean, definitely a financial plan that's created by a robo advisor is going to be faster, like in terms of just crunching those numbers, it's going to be much faster than you. And maybe in terms of like reminders and nudges, like that is something that you can sort of program into the execution and the implementation stages. But does that mean that there's no space for a certified financial planner? I don't think that it does, because essentially what you're doing is you're helping people plan out their lives. This is not just something where someone says that, okay, in 10 years, I want X amount of money. You figure out what the inflation is, you figure out what, what avenues I can save in based on my risk profile, and you tell me. Nobody actually comes and says that. What they want is that they're worried about retirement, they're worried about whether they're saving enough, they're worried about sending their children to college, they're worried about education loans. These are all things that even if they are not going to tell you explicitly, these are things that are running in their mind. And honestly, a lot of like financial information for non-finance people is overwhelming, and there's a lot of jargon. So it is nice to have someone around who's sort of talking to you and walking you through this entire world, right? So that's where you need to be able to, where you need to have your competence to understand everything that's available in the market, but you also need to be able to have a conversation with someone and bring them into that world. How design thinking actually works in planning space. I think like I have covered this. So just go back to the thing where we had like the three steps, right? So the 5-step financial planning process, you map that onto your design thinking process, and then you do both of those things together. So you put on your design thinking cap, but you basically do the work of a financial planner.
So perfect. I think all the questions have been duly answered, Samyuktha. Thank you so much for taking out time being here. It was lovely hearing from you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
So Kanaya, shall we move to the second part of the session now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We should proceed.
Perfect. One second, Kanaya. I'm trying to just put the slide on. Kanaya, can you view my slides?
Not yet, sir.
Wait. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Perfect, perfect. So yes, as we said in the second part of the conversation, we're going to talk about more about CFP, Certified Financial Planner Program, and I can see in the chats as well. I saw you had queries around what CFP is, what the charges are, etc. Or some of you mentioned about the CFP practices. You mentioned about the scope of CFP vis-a-vis MFD, vis-a-vis SEBI RIA. So all of that is what we are going to cover here now, very quickly. Okay, so at the outset, let's understand what CFP is. So because a lot of your questions are coming from the fact that you are not well aware of what CFP is. So the first thing first, which is not even written here, CFP is a designation. Okay, CFP is not a certification. CFP is a designation, not only a certification. So what I'm trying to say here is the difference is, you see, your MBA is a certification. I mean, you did your MBA, you got an MBA degree, correct? Your CFP is a designation which gets added to your name. So for example, if I'm a chartered accountant, I can write CA Rajesh Kumar Singh. If I am a CFP, I can write CFP Rajesh Kumar Singh or Rajesh Kumar Singh CFP, right? So it comes to me more like a CA. CFP is also a designation which gets added with your name. Because it gets added with your name, so as Samyuktha was saying, so you remember she mentioned that it's a kind of a credibility, a mark of credibility for you, right? So it gives you that much needed credibility, a recognition that you as a finance professional carry in the market. See, all of us who are as of now talking about MFD or insurance agents, fact of the matter is you may call yourself MFD. Please understand what your customer calls you. Your customer calls you agent. How do you change that perception? How do you make him believe that you are credible? Only when you have a knowledge, only when you have relevant attestation with your name. You have relevant background which prove you to be credible, right? So see, just for an example, the moment you hear somebody with a name, with a designation called CA, isn't it that you kind of start respecting him a little more? Because the reason being, you understand that to get this designation, he has gone through a certain rigor, a certain process, certain exam, certain education. The same goes with CFP as well. So CFP is world's topmost program in personal finance and financial planning. When I say personal finance, it's a program which is focused only on personal finance, meaning to say finances related to an individual, a person. So my savings, my earning, my expenditure, my investments, my cash flow, my net worth, my risks, my insurance, my taxes, everything related to me, related to a person. That's what it talks about. It's an international program recognized in 27 countries across the world. And these 27 countries include USA, UK, South Africa, Australia, Canada, Singapore, all these top countries. In the new framework of CFP, it's a 4-in-1 exam now. So when I say 4-in-1 exam, 4-in-1 certification. It's like within one certification, you study for one program, you do one program, CFP, but what you end up getting is 3 more, so which makes it 4, right? 4 international certifications. So you complete level 1. The program is divided in 4 levels, and you go level by level. So you complete level 1, and you get FPSB registered, FPSB USA registered investment planning specialist, that certification. You complete level 2, you get FPSB USA registered retirement and tax planning specialist, that certification. Then you complete level 3, you get FPSB USA registered risk and estate planning specialist, that certification. And then you complete level 4, you get CFP. So within one single program, within a span of around, let's say 5 to 8 months, you get decorated, you get awarded, you get the credibility of 4 international certifications. And that kind of multiplies your CV value, your profile value, your credibility before your customers. As I said, it's a program which is deep rooted in personal finance. The corporate finance piece is very little. It's deep rooted in personal finance. So when it comes to personal finance, if you compare this CFP curriculum with any other curriculum, like for that matter, CA or CFA, CFP program has much larger coverage on personal finance as compared to any other programs. So that's what makes you an expert into investment planning and investment management. It's a short-term program which you can do online. There is no physical exam or physical classes needed. All you can do online. You have the choice to take offline, but then all you can do online as well. So what's the criteria? The minimum criteria to join the program is 10+2. You need to be 10+2, any stream, any percentage, and 18 years of age. That's the minimum criteria to join the program. Remember, it's about joining the program. But when you finish the program, when you pass all these exams, before getting your CFP charter, your CFP certificate, or the license to have CFP with your name, the CFP designation with your name, before getting that, you need to be a minimum graduate, and you need to possess 3 years of experience from the BFSI domain. The question here can be, what if I do not have 3 years of experience? Then alternatively, you are allowed to do 1 year of supervised articleship. Supervised articleship under a practicing CFP. So there will be practicing CFP under whom you do a supervised articleship, and you get awarded with the charter or your certificate. So the program structure, I already mentioned, it's a 4-level program. The program is structured that way. You go level by level. So level 1 has got 3 modules, level 2 has got 2 modules, level 3 has again got 2 modules, level 4 has got 3 modules and a small project and case studies and all that. So it's a program which brings in the elements of conceptual learning as well as a practical learning in terms of the project. So whatever you learn from level 1 to 3 gets translated into a real life project. And the project that you do here is, mind you, it's completely different from the MBA project of experience that you or me would be having. Our MBA project would have been typical cut, copy, paste project, but here it's a real life project that you're going to do. So the way, like Samyuktha was explaining, that each client has a different need, a different requirement. So herein, similarly, you will be given the life case of a person. So life case of, let's say, me, my whole family history, my background, my investments, my liabilities, my assets, everything would be listed down over 2-3 pages. And then my financial goals in life, what actually I want to achieve. And you will be asked to make a financial plan so that I am able to achieve all this. Now that's a comprehensive 50-60 page project that you prepare, and that's a project that you only got to do. You cannot find on Google as in what is the answer, right? So that's where all your learning which you have acquired in level 1, 2, and 3 gets translated into a real practical say. All the assessment that happens, the exam, the level-wise exam are online. You have the choice to do offline now, because now the COVID thing is over. So they have started offline exam as well, but online exams continue to happen, and exams happen once every month. So every month in the 3rd week, there's an exam, a date, year mark for each level. So let's say, for example, level 1, the date is 22nd. For level 2, the date is 24th. So likewise, the date is year marked. You come and book your exam, you take the exam. So coming to what the curriculum is, so I mentioned there are 4 levels, and then I also mentioned in each of these levels there are different modules. So in the level 1, The 3 modules are personal financial management, where you study more about the core concepts of personal finance, the basics of personal finance, TVM, financial maths, all of that. Then you have investment planning and asset management, where you study about all investment products. And when I say all investment product, it includes equity, commodities, derivatives, currency, everything, anything and everything that you can think of. Only one investment product is not covered in the CFP curriculum, and that's crypto. That's because probably it's an kind of illegal tender as of now. So that's one of the reasons why it's not it's an irregulated. I should not say illegal, but unregulated instrument. So that's why it's not covered there. And then the third module is regulatory environment and legal compliances, which essentially means law, investment laws. Now, guys, sink in the thought that I'm trying to bring across. Think over it for a while. If some of you are commerce graduates, then your BCom, just try to recall your BCom curriculum. Couple of you said here you are a chartered accountant. Try to recall your CA curriculum. What you have studied in your commerce or what you have studied during CA is more of company law, more of business law. Our exposure to investment laws has been very, very, very minimal. And I'm going to play with people's money. I'm going to advise people on their hardcore, on the hard-earned money which they have built over for their life. So I need to understand investment laws as well. That's what you want to learn here in the third module. You study all these 3, take exam, pass, move to level 2. Level 2 has got again 2 modules, retirement planning, tax planning. So retirement planning, where you study more of the whole of financial planning piece, various financial planning calculations, etc. Then retirement products and all other retirement options available. And tax planning is where you study more about the tax on investment products, tax on salaries and other related stuff, taxes related to a person. You take level 2 exam, pass, you move to level 3. Level 3 is again 2 modules. The first is risk management and insurance, where it's not only just about selling insurance. That's what you do as an insurance advisor. That's what you do. Here it's more about first measuring risk, defining risk, understanding risk, right? Even you will learn how to calculate the life value of a person, how to derive the insurance need of a person's life. So all of that you're going to learn, and then various insurance products. That's in the first module. Second is estate planning. Estate planning is succession planning, which means, so I have let's say created wealth, I have lived on. Now how do I pass on my wealth to the next generation? How is my wealth divided to my family? That's what you study in estate planning. So if you see from 1 to 3, you have studied basics of finance, you studied all investments, you studied law, investment law, you study how to plan for future, you study taxes, you study risk, you study how to pass on my wealth. So everything related to wealth is covered. Now, what do you study is giving a shape to all of this. You have learned this. Now the time is to plan. One of you mentioned here in the chat, I remember, that will I get a format? Will I get a template of how to create a plan? Yes. You also even get a template as if what questions you're going to ask to the customer. And so you can always innovate, you can add more questions, you can add more things in the template, that's fine. But Financial Planning Standards Board, FPSB USA, which is the certifying body for this CFP certification, gives you a standard template as well, that this is what you should ideally be following. So all of that, the standard template, the designs, the questionnaires, the processes that you need to follow, that's what you study in the final 3 modules: the financial planning process, the engaging clients, and developing effective financial plans. These are the last 3 modules that you study. Then, based on whatever you have studied so far, as I mentioned, you do a live project. Once your project is approved, you go for exam. The exam is the last exam. This final CFP final exam is based on a case study as well. So you will be made to practice a lot of case studies so as to be prepared for the exam. So what is the learning outcome? This is something that I will expect you to be probably very focused at. So the learning outcome, if you see all of the program, the modules, if you remember the way I was breaking up, help you learn all of personal finance, all of wealth management, all of taxation, all of estate planning, investment laws, You will learn financial calculations using the Excel, using calculators. You will learn time value of money. Okay, so with time value of money, let me again emphasize, the way time value of money is taught or is explained in CFP curriculum is probably much better than any other program. For example, CA as well. So being a CA, I can tell you that the time value of money, the concept of time value of money, the emphasis that is laid over time value of money learning here in CFP is far more than other programs. So that's what it help you learn effectively about all investment product, all investment laws, taxation, and then how do you advise the client, practical implementation of it. In terms of your career, what it does for you is it makes you ready. If you're looking for a job somewhere, then it makes you ready for the BFSI world, the wealth management company, the financial planning companies, the banks, the tax advisory companies, the fintechs, portfolio management companies, etc. Or else, if you are planning to do your own advisory, then of course you have a license to practice. You can start your own financial planning practice. And then I see a lot of new people exploring new career opportunities. So I know there are CFPs who are doing financial video blogging, financial journalism. So then you have those career options. So for example, Monica Hallen, by the way, is our student, our alumni. So those kind of people are also there who kind of go on to do something else, not into financial planning, but they leverage this knowledge to do something else. So I already mentioned who we are. So we are a part of Bajaj Capital Group. The program was brought to India by us way back in 2002. And since 2002, we have been teaching the CFP program in India. Our faculties who are going to come and teach you when you join the program are all CFPs. That's one thing that we have always ensured. So everybody will be a CFP. That's mandatory. Besides CFP, he can be additionally having degrees like CFA, PhD, CA. There would be IM Bangalore alumni. So that will be happening. But mandatorily, everybody has to be a CFP. And half of the faculties, rather, I should say, are practicing CFPs as well. So meaning to say they bring you the real world exposure, as in because they are advising clients, they are making financial plans for the people on a day in, day out basis. So that's what they bring in when they teach you. And the academic delivery, the entire teaching here at ICOFP for CFP program is headed by Ms. Madhu Sinha. And Madhu Sinha is the former director of FPSB India Board, Financial Planning Standards Board, India Board. Now imagine the certifying body, okay, the certifying body, global body, their India chapter, former director, she herself heads the academic delivery. She comes and teaches you in some of the subjects. So that's the kind of stellar faculties we have. I am very, very happy to share that we have some most notable names in the CFP space. Some of you mentioned MFD. Can you tell me a couple of MFDs who are individual MFDs? I'm talking about, not firms. Individual MFDs who are the icons of this. Whereas if you look at the way these people in the financial planning space, they have emerged, people like Gaurav Mashruwala, Novai Navlakhi, Suresh Sadagopan, Dilchad Bilimoria, these are the poster faces of financial advisory world. They do not need an introduction. If you haven't heard of them, just Google it and you will get to know who they are, right? So all of them, and when I say these names, Gaurav Mashruwala, Lovai Navlaki, Suresh Sadagopan, Dilchad Bilimoria, Silpi Johri, all of them have been our alumni. They have studied for CFP program with us. Last week, in fact, Yogin Sabnis was here and Yogin was talking about his experiences of studying CFP, and he went on to mention how he studied CFP with us. We even have a record of 100% CFP pass percentage, and that's what we have touched on quite a few occasions. And our passing record has been pretty consistent for the last 19 years. So the options for you to study are one, classroom, but we are not doing classroom anymore because we suspended it during COVID completely, and we are doing only and only online classes now. So online classes, there are two ways to do. One is a virtual live class like this. The only difference would be here it's a webinar, so all of you are on mute. That would be a classroom with a limited 30 odd participants, where it would be a live class. You would be able to talk to the faculty would be talking to you. So that's a live online class. And the beauty is every single class that you do is recorded, and the recording is shared with you so that you can go and revise the concepts as many times as you wish. Even before coming to the class, you can see the previous class, comments, attend the next class. That's all you can do. And within the live class, you have two options. You can join for a weekday course. Weekday is Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. Monday to Friday, 2 hours a day. So that's one way. The other is the other is Saturday, Sunday, which is a weekend option. Saturday, Sunday, Saturday late evening, Sunday first half of the day. That's the weekend option. So it depends absolutely on you, as in how much time you can spare out, whether you are available on weekends or weekdays, what suits you, you can join the program accordingly. And then there is an e-learning session as well. E-learning is same faculties, same books, same training content, same PPTs, but the classes have been pre-recorded in a studio environment, not with the students, only with the faculty. The faculties have pre-recorded the classes in a studio environment, and they are given to you. Your question can be who uses them? People who have a bit of background of finance. So somebody, let's say a chartered accountant, somebody who is in the wealth management space for, let's say, 10 years, they know in and out. It is just like revising the concepts a bit and learning a few new things, and then kind of being prepared for the exam. So that's what the e-learning thing does for you. So you have both the model, live class or a recorded class. Within live, you have again two options, weekend or weekdays. So these are the options you have to choose, as in what suits you, virtual one or the learning one, and then within virtual, whether it's a weekend or a weekday. So when you join for the class, what do you exactly get is what you see here. So when you join the class with us for CFP education, what you get first is we give you a bundle of books, all the CFP concept books. So remember, FPSP will also give you certain learning content, but those content will be all online. You cannot save it, you cannot download it, you cannot print it, you cannot bookmark it. That's an ebook kind of a thing that they give you. Whereas the books that we're going to give you will be all printed hard copy books, which have been done by our faculty based on the CFP curriculum. So that's one, concept books. Then we will give you workbooks to practice questions for CFP exam, which are in sync with the CFP curriculum. Then we will be made to do a lot of group projects. As I mentioned, all the classes would be recorded and the recordings would be shared with you. So that's what these videos are. Then before taking the exam, you will have a couple of mock tests from us. You can go and do the mock test. So kind of trying to get a feel of what the CFP exam going to look like and how are you going to attempt it. So all of that. And then you have doubt clearing session, you have case studies, you have guest lectures happening. All of that happens when you join the CFP course. Your question can be that, so what is the fee? So let me tell you here. Okay. Yeah. So there are two kinds of fees. That's the first thing that you should remember. Two kinds of fee. One is the program fee, which goes to the FPSB. This is the program fee. Okay. Then there is a teaching fee, the study fee. The study fee comes to me. You have to pay the study fee to me because I'm going to teach you, and you have to pay the program fee to FPSB because the program is being done by them. Now, please remember the program fee which you see here. One second, this is stuck. Can I hear?
Yes, sir.
Can you see things moving? This is completely stuck.
You can do one thing, sir. You can.
Okay, no worries. So I'll try to explain rather than annotate because my mouse is stuck. Okay, so please note that the fee that you see here is to be paid one on one or one by one as you go along the program. They are not to be paid in one go. So you will pay registration fee, not now, but after 2.5 months when you are ready to take the exam, not now. So that's the first thing. Then the FPSB books fee. So if you see there, I have written level 1 to 3 is $60 each. So $60 for level 1, 2, and 3 each you will have to pay. not in one go, when you go along the program. So when you reach level 1, you pay 60. When you reach level 2, you pay another 60. When you reach level 3, you pay another 60. When you reach level 4, you pay 120. So that's the fee breakup that you have. Similarly, examination fee, again, level by level. So level 1 to 3, you pay $61 each at each of the exam level and $122 at the CFP final level. And then you pay $55 for the project. You remember I was saying you have to do a project. For that, a fee is $55. And then once you complete the whole program to get your final CFP certification, you pay $120. So that's how the program fee is structured. Now, please remember, I'm emphasizing again, this fee is not to be paid now. This fee is to be paid in as you move along the program, one by one, level by level. That too, the first payment would start somewhere around 2.5 months, 3 months later. That will be your registration fee. And you will pay registration fee when you are ready to take the exam. Not now. Kanaya, it's stuck. It's completely stuck.
So you can do one thing. You can remove your slide and then you can stop the screen sharing and then you can share it again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's better now. I can move at least.
It's a perfect.
Perfect. So that was the program fee, which I mentioned earlier, which was to be paid to FPSB. Now this is the study fee, which you have to pay to us for teaching you the CFP program, for giving you the content, for giving you the books, workbooks, and all of this stuff, and training you. My teachers, my coaches going to come and teach you. We will give you video classes. We will give you content for all of that. So there are two ways you can join the program. One is you say, I will join level by level. For each level, I will pay the fee. When I move to that level, I will pay the fee. That's one method of joining. So for each level, if you join the virtual one, which is the live class one, the fee is 15,000 rupees per level. So that's one way. In case of e-learning, the pre-recorded one, for each level, the fee is 11,000 rupees. That's one way of paying it level by level. But the advantage is if you join for the 4-in-1 program, which is the full course, you say that anyways, I'm going to study the full course. So I'll pay one time. And if you join the full course, then you save a lot of money here. The full course fee is 39,900 if you pay in down payment or a student loan option. Then it's 39,900 in case of virtual. In case of e-learning, the pre-recorded one, it's 29,900, right? You have a student loan option, which is like you pay 10% of it, which means 3990 plus 6 EMIs of this, or you have 10% of it and 6 EMIs of this. If you are not going to pay in down payment, or you are neither going for the student loan and still you want to opt for an installment payment, then the fee is 42,500, slightly higher, 2,500, 600 rupees higher. So that's what the fee for virtual learning and e-learning is. So this covers all your training content, classes, videos, lecture, group projects, everything, assignments, or everything. So gentlemen, I completely understand you took out time. You are here for almost an hour, more than an hour. And I should first of all appreciate that you have deeper learning. You have kind of willingness to learn CFP. You want to learn CFP. You want to do financial planning. You want to build your career in financial planning. So yes, I will not let you go without thinking seriously on getting into financial planning domains. So before you leave, I have a very special offer for you today. If you join the program today, and when I say today, I mean today, not 2 days. If you join the program today, you save a big amount, a really big amount. That's one of the reasons why you should be joining today. And the offer for you is join today and you get 5,000 rupees off on the fee. 5,000 rupees off on the fee, which means 39,900 reduced to 34,500. So which is more than 5,000 actually. This is 5,500 off, right? In the virtual. In e-learning, it's 24,500, which was 29,900, right? So more than 5,000 rupees off straight away, right? In the down payment plan, similarly in the part payment plan too, part payment, you remember, was 42,500. It is now 37,500. So again, 5,000 rupees off there. So the first thing is, if you join the program today, you save 5,000 rupees on study fees, on our fees. That's the first benefit for you. The second benefit is, if you join the program today, you remember there was an FPSB content fee. I said FPSB will give you some online content, ebooks, you can't print, save, download, etc., etc. And then I said you will have to pay $60 each for level 1, 2, and 3, and $122 for the level 4. So $60 into 3 plus 120 is $300. So you will pay $300 to FPSB for fees. But when you come to us, I will give you, come to us and today. When you come to us today, I'll give you a discount coupon, a code. When you go and pay FPSB fees on FPSB USA website, when you apply that code on the content fee, your content fee will get reduced by 50%. So meaning to say $300 would effectively be $150 only, which means another 13,000 rupees or more than 30,000 rupees of value. And you have zero interest, absolutely zero interest. There may be some processing charges. There is an option of zero charges as well, but there is another option of processing charge. I don't know where your loan gets processed. So both options are available, but there is zero interest in both the cases. There will not be any interest levied on you on the student loan that you take. There can be charges. In one case, there are, in one NBFC there are charges, in one NBFC there are no charges, depends on where your loan gets processed. But we have exclusive tie-up with NBFCs who process your student loans, and everything is done online, by the way, so you don't need to do any paperwork. Everything is done online. The benefit here is, with the student loan, you pay in just 10% today, balance in 6 easy EMIs. So if you are joining today, in case of virtual, you have to pay 10% of this 34,500, which means 3,450. In case of e-learning, 2,450. So that's what you need to invest in your career and start learning today. If you actually are serious about becoming a certified financial planner, getting world's topmost certification in personal finance, and from Jigis Patel becoming a Jigis Patel CFP, right? So that's what the transformation we're gonna see in you. If you are serious about your profession, about your career, about the way you want to do this business, then yes, look at joining the program today, and this is how you can. So this is how you can. There are two options. One, Kanhaiya, if you can type this link in the chat box. One is this quick pay link. You click on this, it will only ask for your email and your name, etc., and then submit the amount, 10% amount, 3,450 or 2,450. Click, it will take you to the payment gateway. You have multiple payment options there, wallet, credit card, debit card, net banking, everything. You pay as you wish. The other is, go to our website, ICOFP.org. On the top right corner, there is a button called Apply Online. Click on that. A form will open where you can put all your details, select course, select form, everything you have to do, and then it will take you to the payment gateway and you do it there. So both are the same thing. The quick pay is really quick. The ICFP website form is where you need to provide a bit of information. It takes a couple of minutes. So absolutely your choice, whatever way you want to do. While you do this, while you join the program, or let's say you decide to join the program, or you want to make the payment, you have queries which you want us to answer to, you want to speak to us, call us on this number. My colleagues, Krishan, Manika, and their entire team, they are there to help you. Ask your queries. They would be providing you all the information that you need. And we are just a call away. We would love to help you in all possible manners for CFP certification, for CFP program. So that's what we had. I cannot see any questions in the chat. If you have questions around CFP curriculum, fees, anything, you can write in the chat. I would be happy taking it up. Guys, if you have questions, you can write in the chat.
Good evening, sir. I just have two questions.
Yeah.
First, the FBS, as per the FPSB exam is concerned, will it be held on the weekday or the weekend? Because I'm a pro and I work so on the week, I mean 5 days a week. So I'm only available on the weekend. So I'm just, that's why I'm concerned about it.
So Sagunji, when the exams started initially, it were done on weekends, but now all the examinations that FPSB is doing is done on weekdays only, weekdays.
Okay. And there's one more thing that I came across a post on Quora, and where it was said that you need to do, CFP without MBA is literally just not worth it. So you have to do MBA MBA 2 along with CFP. That only it makes perfect sense. So is it true? I mean,
Okay.
like.
Okay, so Sagunji, you see, people at platforms like Quora, who is answering what, the person who is answering may himself or herself not be even a CFP.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So unless you know the program, how can you come and comment it? That's an open media where anybody can come and write. But having said that, let me come back to the original answer. So the fact of the matter is, even if you are a CFP, just a CFP undergraduate, right, you will get plethora of opportunities. Just to give you an example, my parent company Bajaj Capital, forget about somebody completing the whole CFP program. Even if you have completed CFP level 1, right, they give you opportunity to join them, right? And you are our existing student. I am pretty sure you would have seen in the groups, these messages was also floated that Bajaj Capital is hiring, apply online, etc., etc. Link was shared, right? So CFP as a program, as a certification, brings a lot of value, a lot of industry recognition to you. Honestly, MBA is not needed. For that matter, see, I am an MBA too. I'm a CFP too. I'm a CA too. For that matter, if you ask me to compare MBA curriculum with a CFP curriculum, and it is just a comparison, all of us can do it. Please go and take out your MBA textbooks and please look at what we have studied during our MBA. Half of it was management. It was not even finance. Even if we were doing MBA finance, we were studying strategic management, organizational behavior, all of that, right? Ask an MBA student to advise you on investments. Can he do that? 99% not, because this is something that he has not studied as a part of his curriculum, right? A CFP person may not be having management skills because he hasn't studied management, right? What he has studied is whole of wealth management, whole of personal finance, whole of financial planning. And that's where this person is supposed to excel, right? So that's where this program is very uniquely made, and it positions you right up there. Okay. Kanaya, any questions in the chat?
No, sir, I can't see any question.
Perfect. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us, being here. I hope you have taken note of these numbers. And if you're serious about becoming a certified financial planner, giving a kind of a raise to your career or to your profession, join the program, do this lovely program, and we would love to see all of you joining us. Thank you so much.